Welcome back to Wise Words with SJ, a show where we talk about wisdom. I hope I can impart something to you from my heart. Wise Words at jltv.tv. You can write me. Let me know what you think. If you have a question for me, let me know. Today we're going to talk about something that's very close to my heart, generational trauma, inheriting family problems. Okay, let's talk about that. Wow. Do you feel like everything you've ever inherited has been from your family? Well, of course it is. What do you think? Of course. Let's talk about that because I have an interesting family, to say the least. I mean, I've done a lot of research on my family on both sides, and what I've inherited, oh my God, okay? So my father's mother came from a family of 10 children, and my father's father the same way. They came to America, and my father's mother, he passed, so the grandmother became a fortune teller with 10 kids. Fortune telling, oh my God. Also, she would mix up potions and lotions and all sorts of stuff. And there were so many kids that she sent some of the kids away to homes up in the Catskill Mountains in New York. You know, they sent them away because they couldn't take care of everybody. So my grandmother on my father's side, she was still home and she was raised by this grandmother who was a fortune teller. Okay, there you've got that. Then on my mother's side, my grandparents came from Poland. My grandmother's brothers were revolutionaries and they came from Poland. They escaped in the early 1900s so that the Tsar wouldn't kill them. They were socialists, came to this country, and they became people who became no more socialism. They became industrialists, okay? Then you've got my grandmother's, I'm all verdreht, which means I'm all mixed up right now. Let's see. So my grandfather's parents, they were wealthy. They lived in Poland, but my grandfather was the youngest. So my grandmother and my grandfather came from Poland, came to America. Okay, so my grandparents on my father's side, they were born here, so they were American citizens, okay? So you've got the two families together. You've got the fortune teller, and you've got the other father. Then you've got, I'm getting confused. Anyway, it's so confusing. So there comes like the children of these two sets of parents, okay? On my grandmother's side, the four brothers and my grandmother and her sister. So my grandmother had 3 kids, my 2 uncles and my mother. My mother was the middle child. You know what they say about middle children. They're the biggest troublemakers there are. That's what they say. And on my father's side, he was the second son of 4 sons. So it basically was like a middle child, the troublemaker, okay? So you got 2 troublemakers getting married. My mother was very independent. She didn't like being told what to do. Just like me, I hate being told what to do. And my father was like, I'm going to do my own thing. I don't care what anybody says. In fact, a story was that he went on a train trip like to Florida when he was like 14 and they sent him back. That was the kind of person my father was as well. He's a Leo, she's a Libra, okay? I don't know what that'll tell you. I married 2 Leos and forget it. I'm married to a Gemini now. Yes, I'm into astrology. So you've got the generational types of things. You've got my mother, who's very tough and strict, and my father, who just does what he wants. He's like Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he lay, his hat was his home. That was my dad. But my dad always had a lot of fears. He was afraid of a lot of things. And he passed that on to me. He was afraid, like, if you looked over the train track, the train is going to get you and you're going to be dead. Or he thought he was always dying of something, like, Stomach ache, he has cancer. Heart hurts him, he's got to have a heart attack. So headache, he's got a brain tumor. So all those things came to me that I got. And my mother, she wasn't afraid of anything, so you can't even pass her generational trauma to me because it didn't affect me. Everything he said he had, I picked up, and I was always afraid of everything. I wasn't afraid of getting in front of an audience, though. Was never afraid of anything like that. But I was afraid of a lot of things. Like, for example, like when I was taking a bath, I was afraid to go down, to sit down, like when the water went out, that I was going to go down the drain. I mean, hello? My father's dying of cancer. I've got cancer. Right away I thought the worst things possible, that he's passed these generational traumas to me, and I'm just like him. So I've had to unlearn a lot of that stuff by going to a lot of therapy. You think Woody Allen went to a lot of therapy? I've been to therapy since I was 21 years old, on and off. I'm 76. How many years of that therapy have I done to unlearn? But yet, sometimes, I'll have that panic and anxiety attack. And you're always afraid of something being taken away from you. That's me. I'm always afraid, somebody's going to take something away from me. Something of mine that I want, that I love, is going to be taken away from me because I'm scared about that. Or physically abused. My mother was a physical abuser because she was physically abused. That's what happened to me. So these things are passed along, and the only way to stop them is to stop them. That's right. You have to make a decision. Are you going to be afraid for the rest of your life? Or are you going to push through that glass ceiling and not be afraid of anything and take whatever happens to you and just say, you know what? I don't care. I'm just going to go do it. Like, that's what I do with a lot of things now. Like, go up in that wind tunnel and fly, or go in that car that goes 120 miles an hour, the Trans Am that I went on, zip lining, parachute dropping. You can't be afraid. You just have to fight those things and try it. Even though or the cyclone in Coney Island. That was something I was afraid to do always, but I did it. No matter what, I push through my fears. And I say as I'm doing it, Daddy, I'm doing it for you because I know you wouldn't do it. You were afraid to do all those things. He never learned how to drive because he was afraid. The same thing with my mother. I was the first person in my family to learn how to drive a car, and I haven't stopped yet. So if you're fearful, if your generational trauma is affecting you, honey, don't be afraid. Because if I could do it, so can you. And I want you to write to me and tell me what you're fearful of. I'll work it through with you. And please email me at wisewordsjltv.tv because I'm in your corner. You know what? Your parents experience their problems. You're going to work through yours and come out the other side a better person for it. That's right. You are going to have a lot of fun when you finally jump out of that airplane, fly down that cyclone, ride that car, go in that wind tunnel and just go crazy. You're going to love it. I know I love it too. And I love you because you are you. Who else you going to be? And please email me at wisewords@jltv.tv and I'll answer all your questions, whether you like it or not.